What is up, Brandon? So I've got a bunch of tier lists ready to go. I'm probably just gonna record like 5 or 6 videos like this back to back. I think some of them are gonna be pretty quick, but anyway, this is the one that I was talking to you about where I want to do which anime characters are the most ACAB, which will obviously be in the title and thumbnail. I might actually make a thumbnail for this one. I haven't decided yet. I might also actually edit this one. I haven't decided. It depends how the recording goes, like how long it is, and like how many weird like little pauses I take throughout it. Just like how much trimming down of it I can do. Yeah. So this is gonna be like which. I think I have to explain and kind of think out right now how I'm going to go about ranking the characters. So the ones up here are going to be ones that I think like straight up hate the cops or authority or are very like against racism, especially in like racism or prejudice, especially in like an institutionalized manner. I specifically have this section for one character, the worse than the cops one. I'll get there when we get there, but that's if I think their system of justice is like actively worse than like a racist police force. So the middle tiers will just be where I feel like they fall on that spectrum. I feel like there's potentially characters who are going to be like criminals or against the laws, but it's not really because they're like they have like a moral stance against institutionalized like racism. But it's just going to be because they're like criminals, so I probably won't rank them. Like it's going to be ranked on like more ideology than like whether or not they just like are criminals, and where I feel like they fall in there. So this is more of like an ideology thing. Why am I doing this? I think it's funny. For one, I think it's funny to look at like, I don't know, is Bulma ACAB or whatever, right? Like and then I also think it's just kind of like an interesting way to analyze character. Like it's a different and more unique way than just like, I don't know, discussing what kind of character Goku is, to look at it from an angle of like, is like to look at it instead of like, let's just talk about Goku character, instead to do like, I don't know, how does Goku feel about the cops, right? Like, or how would Goku feel about the cops based on the ideologies he has throughout the series and throughout Dragon Ball. So I think it's just an interesting way to analyze. I get to use my creative writing degree a little bit. And yeah, I don't know. I think there'll be some interesting discussion potentially. I'm going to talk about how I picked which characters I'm going to rank. So I wanted to focus on I guess bigger anime this time. So I did Dragon Ball. I did like the 4 main Dragon Ball Z villains. Vegeta I'm gonna just rank as a character overall. I'm not gonna rank him like from when he was a villain and when he was a hero. Maybe I'll like talk about it when I'm ranking him, but I'm just gonna talk about him as like one character. And then I just try to go with like the most important cast outside of that. So like Goku's in there, obviously. Bulma, Krillin, and Roshi. I probably could have included Gohan, but like Gohan's a kid for most of the series, so I felt like that was kind of strange. There are going to be other children on here now that I've said that, but I don't know. I don't know how much of an opinion Gohan would have on the police and institutionalized racism at the age of like 4, which is where he's at the start of the series. So so I don't know why I started with Dragon Ball and Bleach is right here. I mean, Dragon Ball I did because Dragon Ball is like maybe the most popular anime of all time. And then I did like the big 3, so I did Bleach, One Piece, Naruto, and then the rest of them are kind of just like there's the most representation from those 4 anime because those are the 4 I guess I'm kind of like focusing on. And I just threw in some other ones, either that like I wanted to talk about, like I probably would have put Hunter x Hunter in here regardless. I just got done. This is Arale. This is the protagonist of Dr. Slump, which is the series that Toriyama made before Dragon Ball. And I think she'll also be funny to talk about in this context. So that's why I picked her. Then I just kind of did like pro tags from like popular stuff. So like I basically went on my anime list and just went down and was like, what do I feel like ranking here? I would have put Attack on Titan on here, but I haven't seen enough of that to rank it. I'd be down to do a follow-up to this, where I do maybe like more side characters from some of these series, like especially the ones where like I only did like Deku from My Hero. Like maybe I'd be down to do some of the other classmates or heroes or whatever. I don't know. Or more characters from Hunter x Hunter or whatever, right? So that's where like Deku, Denji, Tanjiro, Gon and Killua, Mob and Reagan, Saitama, Spike, and Kaneki. That's where like they all come in. It's just like I just went and like I was like, let me grab like one character from a bunch of series. That way I can like, I don't know, talk about more anime, I guess, instead of just talking about the four. I just wanted to talk about Light and the L. I don't think there's anybody else worth discussing from that series. Maybe I could have done like Ryuk, but I don't think Ryuk really gives a fuck, to be honest. So yeah. For Bleach, I just did like the main cast, and then like the main like five, which is like Ichigo, Chad, Ishida, Orihime, Rukia. And I added Renji in there just because he like joins that main cast a little later, and then Aizen's like the main villain for like most of the series, so I did Aizen, and then I think these two are the most popular captains, so I just grabbed them. Again, I could come back and I'd be down to do like, if I was gonna do like a follow up, I'd be down to do like like all the captains or all the Arrancar or something in there. So I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so for Naruto, how I decided was I did the main four, which is Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi. Then I was thinking about just like which other characters are big. I kind of was like, I think I decided I wanted to do all the Sannin, which is Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and I don't know where Tsunade is, but I know she's in here. There she is. And then once I had those guys in, I was like, well, I've got Naruto, Kakashi, Tsunade already in there. That's like 3 of the Hokage already. I might as well just do all the Kage. So that's why I added in the rest of the Kage. So there's Hashirama, Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Minato, I think, is all I had to add in, because the other ones are 5, 6, 7. There is like this chapter, a new Hokage in Boruto. But I was like, I'm not going to talk about that because it like literally just came out. It was like this month's chapter of Boruto, so yeah, I just decided against doing that one. Again, I could come back and I'd be down to do like more of the villains, or maybe like all of Naruto's, like the Konoha 12, like Shikamaru and Choji and all the Rock Lee and all those fucking people, or maybe like the Kage of the other nations or something. I don't know. It depends. I feel like this like concept gets like diminishing returns the further into like side characters you get, but if I think I have like anything interesting to say about them, then I'd be down to do it. For One Piece, I did all the Straw Hats, which there's 10 of them. So it's Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, Nami, Sanji, Jinbei, Brook, Chopper, Frankie, and then Robin is over here. And then I did anybody who was an emperor at one point. So that's Blackbeard, Buggy, Whitebeard, Shanks, Big Mom, Gold. I don't know if Roger was an emperor or not, but I don't know. I just feel like it makes sense to rank him anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's ever been like confirmed or denied, but he's like the king of the pirates, so I feel like there's no reason not to rank him. And then like Kaido's over here. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, spoilers for all of these series before you watch this. There's a good chance I'm going to be talking about like endgame stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just like spoilers for any series that has a character here potentially. I don't know how much I'm gonna have to spoil, but yeah, I don't know. So I guess we'll just get into it. Eisen I think is probably pretty ACAB. I don't think he's like top. Well, it's interesting because like the Soul Reapers are like the police of that universe, right? And he's like, yo, fuck those guys. But I feel like it's mostly just because they're getting in the way of what he wants to do. Like, I don't necessarily know that he is like a philosophical disagreement with them, right? I think he like I think some of his subordinates do. Like, I think Tosin has like a philosophical disagreement with the Soul Society, but I don't know that Eisen does. I think Eisen just wants to be like strong, you know. I think maybe I'm misremembering Eisen's goals here, because now he does want to destroy the Soul Society, right? Yeah, maybe but I think he's kind of just a fucker, right? Like, I don't think he's like, I want to destroy the Soul Society because I don't know, the way they like operate is wrong. Like, I think he's just a fucker. I don't really think he's like yeah. I'll put him in B because he is directly opposing like what is technically the police of his universe and wants to like obliterate them. But I don't think he's doing so for like a real like philosophical reason. But so I'll put him there. I think B, or maybe I'll end up bumping him down to C. This motherfucker is like down here. I think he gets a little better as the series goes on, but he like is very like traditional into the rules. Like he's like, yeah, maybe. No, I'm gonna put him in D. I think that's fair. I think that like, yeah, he was like willing to like kill his own sister because the governing body told him to, and he like straight up did not question whether or not it was the fair or right judgment. And I think that changes him a little bit, but I like cannot bump him up because of that. So yeah, I'm gonna put him in D. I think honestly, Chad and Ichigo are probably both A. I know that they like actively are like, I don't know if they're participating in like their gang, in like the gang activity in their city, but at the very least are getting into like scuffs with gang members. So they're at the very least adjacent to that. And I feel like they both are like, Soul Society like goes to punish Rukia, and they're both like, nah, we gotta go in and we gotta stop this. Like, and I think some of that is maybe just because they're like friends with Rukia, but they're also not like, you know what I mean? Like they're willing to like question what the governing body is like telling them, right? They're willing to like question it and then like directly oppose them in armed combat because of it. So I feel like they probably, honestly, Ichigo might be up here. I wasn't really thinking about it, but Ichigo might be up there. I think that like Ichigo also like when you get to, I'm gonna bump him back down. When you get to the Fullbring arc, I think is that, yeah, because there's like the Ginjo guy, who's like basically like Ichigo, like he has like Ichigo's position, but like earlier on, he's kind of like he prototyped the position that like Ichigo has as like a substitute Soul Reaper. And I feel like Ichigo, while he like stopped that guy, he also was like, hey, Soul Society, what the fuck was going on with this? Are you gonna treat me like this guy? Like, he was immediately willing to question them. So I'll probably put him like over Chad. I'll probably order the ranks as well. I don't know. So I probably put him like over Chad, but I also think he like does consistently come and fight by the side of the Soul Society despite like all the flaws in it. So like I think he's willing to question them and directly oppose them if it comes to that. But I think a lot of the time he'd probably prefer to be working with them. Maybe I should bump them down. No, they're certainly better than Aizen. Maybe I do this. That feels right. Just because he does go end up, and like there's also I think there's a good amount of problems with the Soul Society, and Ichigo like never makes an attempt to like address those or fix them. So I feel like that was a whole roller coaster of emotions there. But yeah. So Ishida straight up hates the Soul Society. So he's probably like here. I don't think he's up here. Well, I'm not sure because he like hates Soul Reapers, which are basically the equivalent of cops. So maybe Ishida does go up here because he's like, you don't know. See, the thing is, he doesn't like have the power to change anything. Yeah, I don't know because he also does directly. I guess spoilers for the 1,000-Year Blood War arc because that's that whole anime is now. I know you've read it, but just in case some like rando watches this, but he like straight up just like defects to the Quincy side, despite I don't know, they're not very good either. But he's like that fed up with how bad the Soul Society runs things that he was just like immediately like I'll just defect to this other side. So I'm gonna leave him up there for now. If that feels wrong later, I'll switch it. See, Kenpachi's definitely better than Byakuya, right? But I think he just wants to be strong. Like, I think he's got, like, a similar thing to Goku where he just wants to, like, fight strong guys. And I don't think he necessarily, like, cares ideologically about whether or not there's, like, any kind of oppression going on, right? So he's probably actually really similar to Aizen, so I think that's probably fair. Orihime goes here. I feel like for similar reasons to what I talked about with them. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, she was willing to oppose the Soul Society alongside them, but then also like I think prefers to work. I think she more prefers to just be like working with Ichigo because she's like mad in love or whatever. But I think Renji's probably like high C tier. He like very much I think is dedicated to Soul Society. Like I don't think he's like, you know, really trying to like I don't know. I think he's somebody who'd prefer to like change things from the inside, if that makes sense. Like if he's going to change, he's not going to like leave Soul Society though. Like the way that like these three are willing to like directly oppose the Soul Society to go get done whatever they need to get done. Like I don't think he's necessarily like that, but he does like help out in Huecto Mundo. So yeah, that's probably fair. I feel like Rukia is probably the same. Yeah, they're probably about the same. I feel like they have similar viewpoints towards Soul Society. Where like maybe they think things can be better, but like in most cases they'd prefer not to like directly oppose the Soul Society. Yeah, I don't know. Because I think they have similar things. Like she was actually straight up like, yeah, I broke the rules. I'm gonna let myself get executed. You know, so regardless of whether or not that rule was fair. Whereas like these guys were like, that rule is not fair and Rukia doesn't deserve to die, and they were willing to go in. So I think she's like on a lower, definitely on like a slightly lower tier than them. These two are probably about even. You could probably switch them either way and it doesn't matter. Now I'll leave Renji higher because Renji in that arc actually does try to fight Byakuya and attempt to save Rukia like after his fight with Ichigo. He like goes and unlocks his Bankai, and that's kind of like when he joins up, I guess. So maybe Renji's up here and Rukia stays down here. Because I kind of forgot for a second he does that in that arc. That's how I'm going to leave it for now. Okay, that's all the Bleach people. So what I've decided is that from Bleach, Ishida is the most ACAB. Boom. The thing is, right, like, Bulma's a billionaire. She's also, like, a Nepo baby. But she also is, like, a genius in her own right. She's not, like, just a Nepo baby, right? But I think she's so above the law that I don't know that she cares. You know? I don't want to put her in D tier because I don't think she's like so into the rules that like she's on this guy's level, but I think she's also really not like opposing anything, right? I'm trying to think if there's anything that like happens throughout the series that could like change my mind on that. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I don't know that I feel like I don't know where she fits on this tier, but maybe I'll come back to that. Boo is a weird one. So I'm only ranking like Fat Boo. Kid Boo is just like a mindless monster, right? So there's like you can't even really place him on this list because he has no ideology. But I think this guy doesn't really have like a strong ideology either, right? Like I think he likes to fight and eat. Yeah, I don't know. I probably just put him here. He's like not because I feel like the D tier is starting to go into the category where it's like they're supporting the cops, and this I feel like this is like they're doing nothing category. Like they're not really opposing or supporting, or they're weird like Rukia where they fall in like an in between or whatever. Honestly, maybe Rukia goes down. I'm not sure, because she is, after the arc where she's going to get executed, she is willing to, like, kind of go against the rules, but I feel like largely she's pretty, like, straight in a way dedicated to the Soul Society. So maybe Rukia goes, like, here. Yeah, that feels good to me. And then, I don't know, I'll leave, the problem is this is, like, the do-nothing tier, so it's kind of hard to, like, order it. Whereas, like, this is, like, I can directly look at, like, what they've done and be like, yeah, this is probably right. Yeah, so Cell does directly, like, fight the military and the police at one point. But I think it's similar to Aizen, where he's just kind of an evil fuck, right? Yeah, I'll put him right above Aizen. I think he's probably a little... I don't know why. I feel like Cell's a little... No, Cell's certainly less than Aizen. He's probably more than Kenpachi. Yeah, that's fine. I don't know. I mean, Frieza is worse. Frieza's actually not the character I put this on here for, but Frieza's worse than the cops. Frieza just is like... actively is out there committing genocides, and like he basically like I don't know, Frieza is like constantly doing institutionalized racism in the series, except he's just also like blowing up planets. So I don't think anybody's really gonna question that. Goku's a weird one because like here's the I think Goku's like against injustice, which would lead me to be like he's up here, but I also think Goku doesn't give a shit unless like there's a strong guy to fight. You know, like I don't think he would actively do anything about it unless there was like a strong guy to fight, or unless like the cops were actively standing in the way of like a goal of his, right? Like because like Kid Goku tears through the Red Ribbon Army, but that's mostly just because they're in his way of getting the Dragon Balls like consistently, because they're also looking for them, and he's trying to find his grandpa's Dragon Ball. But I feel like it's like a question of like if the Red Ribbon Army wasn't directly opposing Goku, like if they were like just kicking around, like does Goku bother to go do anything about the Red Ribbon Army? And I feel like it's probably a similar thing where like I don't know, the cops could be like evil, or like doing institutionalized racism, and I think Goku would be like, that's pretty bad. Somebody should do something about that, and like just wouldn't. But I do think like ideologically he's probably against racism, right? So Goku's a weird one. I also Goku's best friend is a cop, so I feel like he's probably not very ACAB. Honestly, I just think based on the fact that I don't think he would really do anything about it unless you were like Goku, the cops are doing racism. And he was like, dang, somebody should do something about that. Bulma, can you bribe some people or whatever? But I don't think he would like actively go out of his way unless you were like, Goku and the police chief is Frieza. He's the one ordering them to do the racism. Then I think Goku would be like, that bastard! And he would like fucking like fly off to like try to kick the shit out of people. But I like really don't know that Goku would give a shit. Unless like I'm basically debating if I need to put Goku in D tier right now. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't think so, because these are people who I think are very much, yeah, maybe like, because I'm also trying to consider the fact that Krillin is a cop, right? Like, because like that's Goku's best friend, so I feel like Goku probably wouldn't be ACAB. But I feel like he's surely like more against institutionalized racism than like Aizen and Cell, right? So that's probably a good spot. Maybe he's like right above Renji. I'm trying to think if that feels good to me. I'll leave him here for now. I feel like it's either here or like right above Renji. Like Krillin is a cop. I don't know. I think Krillin's probably not doing any institutionalized racism. I think there's probably not. I mean, there is racism in the Dragon Ball world, but there's probably not like. You know, like I think like the institutions on Earth are probably good in that universe, but so maybe if Krillin came to like the real world, maybe he'd be like, "What the fuck is this? This isn't what cops are supposed to do." But just because he's a cop, I'm gonna put him in D tier. I'll put him better than these two, just because I do think if he, I think potentially if he came to the real world, he'd be like very against the state of the police force, but yeah. I think, you know, I'm just thinking about Boo again. I think Boo is probably just against the idea of being governed. Like, I think he probably just wants to be free and do whatever the fuck he wants. So, maybe Boo goes like here. Maybe he's like a little more ACAB than Cell. I really feel like Bulma's just rich. I mean, she's probably better than like Kenpachi, right? But you know, Bulma's never actively attacked the police the way Cell has, so that seems good to me for now. Roshi is a strange one. Because he like lives on his island, right? He actively doesn't do anything or like engage with society really. So it's kind of hard to gauge whether or not he's like against or for a lot of things. I think like outside of him being a weird perv, he's portrayed as pretty virtuous. So I'm like inclined to believe that he'd be against racism. But I also think he teaches like Goku and Krillin a pretty traditional form of respect. I'll put him above Bulma. I feel like he's not rich, so he's probably more in tune than Bulma is. But he's also like he's clearly just chosen to like isolate himself from society. So even if it's like an issue he has, you know, like he's clearly like not doing anything about it, or like just choosing to ignore it. Any like issues that are going on in the world, which is kind of fucked up because he's also like, I mean, at the time he's like introduced, he's like probably the strongest person on the earth, right? So, yeah, I don't know, kind of fucked up when you think about it. I don't know, maybe like Mercenary Tao is stronger than him. But like we don't know Tao exists yet. But anyway, yeah. Vegeta. I'm trying to think where Vegeta would be like the most ACAB and go from there. Like what point in his character? And it honestly might be when he's introduced. Maybe like the Namek arc when he's like actively like dodging around Frieza's people, but it's because he has his own goals. It's not because he's like ideologically opposed to what they're doing. I don't know. That's the thing. I feel like people in this series like don't do anything about shit. I think he's higher than Goku. I'll put him above Renji. I'll put him where like, because I think potentially at some point I might move Goku up above Renji. I think that he's like very against reviving Frieza in Super and like letting Frieza restore his army, and he's like, yo, maybe we should do something about this, and then he's like convinced by Goku not to. By Goku or Beerus, or I forget exactly how it goes down, but like he's very against like reviving Frieza and letting Frieza continue to do his like shenanigans. So yeah, so I'll put him there for now. If I feel like I need to change it later, I will. But that feels right to me. Vegeta feels like more of a proactive character than Goku. Like, strangely, like I feel like Goku, not that Goku can't be proactive, but I feel like he's more proactive when like there's a goal or like a strong person to fight at the end. Whereas I feel like it seems like, especially in Super, like Vegeta has more of a moral compass. Whether or not that's like true in Z is a whole other story, but yeah. Let's see. Deku. I think Deku is like very much about obeying the law. I mean, he's basically becoming, his goal is basically to become his universe's version of like there's actual police in that universe, but he'd be kind of like the super police because he's got like he doesn't start with a strong quirk, but I do think he's actually probably way higher, to be honest. I don't know. It's strange. So what I'm thinking is that like, I think later in the manga, he becomes more in tune with why the villains are doing what they're doing, right? Like, and why, like what the systemic problems are that are causing the villains to act the way they are. And he seems to want to change it, right? But I think he very much wants to change it like through the system. So he's probably like here if I had to place him, because he definitely is like ideologically opposed to like there very much are like in My Hero, there very much are like systemic problems that like cause a lot of the villains to be the way they are. And I think like as the series goes on, like I said this already, but he becomes like more in tune with it, and like, but like I don't think he still thinks that like the current system is the way to go and that it just needs changes. So, but I very much think he wants to still like have a policing force and like, yeah. So I don't think he's probably like as ACAB as any of these ones, but he's probably better than like Vegeta and Renji. I might, if one of these tiers gets too big, I might start bumping people up and down. I don't know. Man, Denji is a weird one. I think a lot of these people are weird to talk about this with, but just because of like the nature of it. Denji is like, I'm trying to really think this one out in my head before I start talking. I think Denji might be might be up here. I think that like I think he's lived a very troubled life. And like I'm trying to think how to phrase this. Like, I think he is like a direct victim of like the government in his universe, right? I think like it's an ongoing series, so it's kind of hard to say where he'll land. And I think his allegiance kind of goes with just like whatever's going to provide him the best life. So I don't want to say that he's like up here, because I don't think he is. And there's probably a pretty strong argument to put him like maybe below Ichigo or something. But I think that like as a direct victim of kind of like his society's one of the policing forces, right, in like the Devil Hunters Association or whatever it's called. Like I think he was like, I think he started from like, he was living in like squalor. He was like basically homeless and like barely affording food and like in massive debt to the mob, right, not to like the government. But then he's kind of like brought in by the government and then just kind of like taken advantage of by them. And I think like as he has experiences, he like does seem in the series to like learn from them. So I feel like at this point he may just have like a general distrust of like government organizations. I'm not 100% sure on that. He might just also have like a general distrust of humans at this point. Like, but I think that's my logic for putting him up here. Basically, is just like I feel like he's basically been directly victimized by like the government and like the policing forces of his universe, and I think is like aware of that, right? So L like is the cops, right? Like, yeah, no, I think this is the right tier for L, to be honest. He's probably like around Byakuya level. I think he's a PI. But I think he very much is like, he's interested in like tackling like big name mysteries and solving them, and it's a lot. I think a lot of it's like to satiate like his own desire for like solving mysteries and just like test himself. But he also is very much choosing to do so through the legal system, and so for that reason, I think he goes in D. Light Yagami is why I made this bottom tier. I think he's probably not worse than Frieza, but he's yeah, I think he's gonna go down here. I think his like system of justice is like actively worse, right? Like he very much is like using this magic book to kill all criminals with that. There's no due process, right? Like he's like, have they been convicted? I'm going to write their name in a book and kill. Like Light Yagami's like the worst. He's the villain of his own story, right? Like if you watch Death Note and you thought Light Yagami was like the hero, like you gotta get therapy probably. I don't know. But yeah, so I'd put him in this very bottom tier that I have. And like I don't know. Also like he's only concerned with reducing crime. He's not concerned whether or not like his punishment of like killing people is fitting the crime that they've committed, right? He might be going after like the worst criminals, but like he's like I said, he's like ignoring due process in his country to give people a worse punishment than the law gave them, because he's trying to like scare the populace into not doing crimes, right? Which is just like not a good system of policing, you know, or governing or reducing crime. So yeah, I don't know. I was so happy in that series when Light finally died. He's such a prick, genuinely. He starts out kind of like noble and being like, oh, I think he starts out kind of like, I'm only going to kill the worst criminals. But by the end of it, he's just writing like fucking like 300 names in that book at a time. And I'm like, I don't really think you have that many murderers in your country, you know? That's kind of crazy. So Tanjiro also is kind of the cops, right? I'd probably put him like below Krillin. He honestly might be in between Rukia and Byakuya. He's not the cops. He's like the demon cops, basically. And I do think he's like, see, the thing is, right, Tanjiro's got this thing about him. I actually might bump Tanjiro up a lot, That might not be fair to Tanjiro. He's got this thing about him where like even like anytime he kills a demon, he's like still sympathetic towards it. Like he's a very empathetic and sympathetic person. So even when he like kills a demon, he very much is like sympathetic of like how they got there, of the fact that like they were probably turned into a demon against their will. And he's not just like, I fucking hate demons. Like his sister's a demon. He meets some like some demons that like aren't evil and aren't eating people, and he's willing to like talk to them and work with them. So Tanjiro's definitely like not racist. And I think he's like understanding of the fact like he very much is like he wants to kill the main demons so that nobody has to be a demon. So he's very much somebody who's like, I want to get this at the source and not just like punish the people who are a result of that source. So that to me feels like kind of up here. Like ideologically. Like he very much like I feel like he's the kind of person where if you were to ask him how to like solve crime, he would like look into like what the causes of crime are and be like, oh, the causes of crime, the main motivator for crime is like poverty. Maybe we should stop these people from being poor. So I think I've done like a complete 180 on Tanjiro. I think he's actually probably like he's probably higher than Denji. I don't think he actually is like ACAB, but I think ideologically he's like he's getting close, right? He doesn't have any kind of like, I don't think he has any kind of, well, he has hatred toward the person who's caused everybody to be demons, but I think that's also because that guy killed his whole family. But I think just the fact that he's like, he's in a position where like the people who are demons, he's willing to like kill them and stop them from causing further harm. But he's also willing to like show them sympathy and understand like how they got to where they're at and look at like what has caused that and want to like fix those issues. So I think because of that, he's probably up here. At first I was like, he's the demon cops, he goes down here, but like actually ideologically he's like, I think he's definitely up here. Aralé's ACAB, which maybe if you don't know anything about that series, it's probably very surprising. If you've seen it, it's probably not at all. But there's a running gag throughout the whole series where every time Arale sees a cop, Arale's like a super strong robot girl. So she can do things like she can punch the planet and split it in half. She can they break the moon apart multiple times throughout that series, right? Like she's like crazy strong. And so every time she sees a cop car, she just like runs into it and totals it. And it's just like a running gag throughout the entire series. It's probably the best gag in that series, to be honest, just because it's like, I don't know, funny. This little 13-year-old girl is basically like, yo, ACAB, and breaks the cop cars every time she sees the cops. I probably put her above Ishida, to be honest. I think there's also some chapters where like, I think there's a section where like a really oppressive cop comes to town. And arrests the entire town, and she's the one who has to like fuck him up and get everybody out of jail. And like I think there's a couple chapters like that where she either has to break out of jail or the cops try to arrest her and she like throws their car or whatever, like breaks the shit out, like beats them up or whatever. So yeah, she's probably the most ACAB character so far. Gon's interesting because he's trying to become a hunter. And the Hunter Association is like kind of a policing body in the world. Like not like super really, but like I don't know. It's really weird because the Hunter Association I feel like just kind of lets you do whatever the fuck you want. Like you pass the hunter exams and it gives you access to a lot of shit. And he really just wants those resources to be able to find his dad. And I think also because his dad is a hunter. I'm really trying to think where he'd be at because he's like he can be noble at times, but I also think there's times where he decides he's gonna be really like fucked up, right? Where he like doesn't care about people's safety or anything to achieve his goal because he's like mad. So Gon's an interesting one, yeah. He's definitely not like D tier or like down here, but um I can't even think. It's been a minute since I've seen Hunter x Hunter as well. I can't even think if he's like actively against oppression, to be honest. I'm gonna put him. I really genuinely don't know that he cares. I feel like he just like has his goal and he wants to accomplish that. I'm trying to think because when they break into NGL, right, which is basically like that universe's version of North Korea, like I feel like Kite tells him a bunch of stuff about how like bad that country is, but I can't remember his reaction to it is the thing. It's like hard for me to imagine putting Gon in B tier though, like among these people, because I feel like these people all have like things where I'm like, yeah, ideologically they want to fix things, or they like have actively like directly opposed like their policing bodies. I mean, often for ideological reasons as well. So it's hard for me to imagine Gon up here. So I think it's kind of just where to place him here, because he's definitely not down here. I think he's probably similar to Boo. I'll put him above Boo. I think he very much like wants like his freedom and shit, similar to Boo. Like I don't really think Gon wants to be governed. Maybe he's lower than Boo because I don't think he's like as like I think as long as he's allowed to go find his dad, I don't know that he cares about anything outside of that. Like that's he's kind of like single minded in that goal. And like I don't know, he has also his like the general anime protag shit of like not wanting to protect his friends, but like that doesn't really matter for this, I don't think. He is definitely the thing is I don't think he cares about the law either. So maybe he's like up here. Because I feel like he very much like is willing to work with like criminals and murderers and shit like that if he likes them and it gets him closer to his goal. But I don't think that means he's ACAB. Like I don't think he like ideologically embodies that. But I think like top of C tier is probably fine, basically. Killua's probably a little higher. I would probably put Killua at like bottom of B tier. He's like actively an assassin and a criminal. So he's like willing to take justice into his own hands, I guess, but like I don't know that he like ideologically is like against certain things. Like I think he just like has always operated outside the law because that's how he's like raised. But I would guess because of that he doesn't have a lot of respect for the police. That's my guess. I don't know why I put Mob and Reagan on here. The thing is, right, I think Mob goes through like so much growth throughout his series that like he's honestly probably is like down here at the start and maybe like a little higher at the end. I think that by like the end of the series he's willing to like look at people's ideologies and be like, that seems wrong to me. So I feel like he's like potentially here. Like I don't think he's like I feel like ideologically he's probably more ACAB than Gon. But I don't think he's like willing to operate outside the law, right? He's like a 13-year-old kid. So I think if you were like break the law, he'd probably be like, boo, what do you mean? Maybe like again more toward the end of the series, but I feel like bottom of B is like a good place to put him. Because I feel like if you came to him and were like, want to join the cops, we're gonna do some racism, he'd be like, that's bad, and he might beat you up. I feel like Reagan is probably more ACAB than Gon. Or not than Gon. I mean, than Gon as well, but then Mob. I'm just sticking him there for now so I can think about it. I think... I don't know if I want to put him in A tier. I think it depends on the situation. I'm going to put him... I don't fucking know. I was gonna say I'm gonna put him there, but I don't know if that's where I'm gonna put him. I'm just really trying to think here because I do feel like he's like being old. Like he's like kind of a con man. He like definitely does shit that's illegal, but I don't think it's out of like protest to like what the police do. But I don't know. I just get the vibe that he doesn't like the cops very much. I don't know. I'm gonna put him like here. Nah, I don't know. I guess I'll just go right above Mob. I don't know. I don't actually really think he's more ACAB than Killua, so I'm gonna put Hashirama. This might seem weird at first, but hear me out. I'm gonna put Hashirama in A tier. I think that the thing with Hashirama is that like the reason I'm putting him here is because he's born into an era where there isn't really like countries. He's born into an era where it's like tribes of people and they're doing war, and he like helps found like he's like the founder of the Leaf Village, right? But I think at the core of that is like this willingness to like look at the system they've got going on, right? To go, okay, we have this system where we have children like fighting and dying very often in wars between clans, right? We've got a system where we're hating each other and fighting in feuds just kind of because, like just to. Like, nobody remembers what started the feud anymore. It's just that, like, we've been killing each other for generations and, like, and whatever. And he's willing to, like, look at that system they have and be like, the system's actually really fucked up, and we need to change it. And so I think, like, if Hashirama was born into an era with, like, vast injustice in the judiciary system, I think he would be like, no, this needs to be fixed. Like, I think that's the kind of person he is. I think he's, like, the kind of person to look at the system they have and, like, try to make it better. And I think the only reason he's not, like, directly doing that is because he's just born into, like, an awful period of history where there isn't even really government, right? Hiruzen... Hiruzen's honestly probably C tier. He's definitely better than Kenpachi, right? He's not like any of these people. It's weird because we're ranking the Hokage and they're like the presidents, so you kind of have to look at like what the village was like under their like reign to like figure this out if like we don't have a whole lot of other info. And the village is, I think, like pretty well off under Hiruzen. I do think they do like a couple world wars though. And Hiruzen's not really trying to, like, change the system or, like, make it so children don't have to do wars. And I think as, like, a Hokage during a period where... being a Hokage during a period where, like, there are a lot of wars, he's, like, actively probably contributing to, like, the cycle of hatred. And I don't doubt that there's, like, that he, like, would have wanted to do something about it, but, like, he clearly just is never able to find a way to do it. I'm really, like, B and C are getting really clogged up is the thing. I'm really not sure. Because again, like I feel like one of the big thing in Naruto that's going on that's bad is like the cycle of hatred, and I feel like I don't know. Because I feel like Hiruzen like ideologically is probably like up here. Like I don't think he's like really into systemic issues. I think he's trying to like find and reach agreements with the Uchiha to try to like avoid their coup or the Uchiha massacre by like Itachi. But I think he's just like he just fails right? Like, I don't think he, like, because I'm trying to think, he, like, doesn't really get anything done to stop it, but I think he just fails. So I think that might be more a product of, like, the time period he's in. I also, he's, like, obviously not anti-establishment because, like, he is the establishment, right? So maybe he's, like, I think he's, like, similar to Deku, but I'll put him below Deku because he fails at it. I think that placement makes a lot of sense, actually. Okay. Jiraiya. Jiraiya's probably up, like, here. Honestly, I also think Hashirama's probably above Denji, to be honest. I don't know that Jiraiya's better than Hashirama, but they have very similar ideologies, I think. I think Jiraiya, like, sees that, like, cycle of hatred that's going on and very much, like, he's, like, the one who kind of, like, educates Naruto about it. And that kind of, like, leads to Naruto forming, like, his ideologies on how to, like, fix it. So I very much think, like, Jiraiya's, like, up here. Because he, like, sees the issues with the system that the world has and, like, wants to change them, but he just, like, can't figure out how. And so he kind of, like, bequeaths that goal and that dream, like, onto Naruto. So I think he's definitely, like, up there. Kakashi's probably really similar to Jiraiya, to be honest. I'll put him just below Jiraiya, but I think he's got, like, a very similar ideology. I think that, like, a lot of what his, well, maybe he's, I don't know. I think these three are all in, like, a similar range to be. I was thinking maybe Kakashi goes, like, up here, like, maybe he's more similar to Hashirama, but again, he's just, like, not as good at it, like, similar to, like, how Hiruzen just, like, kind of fails. I know Kakashi actively doesn't want to be Hokage. And I think Kakashi, like, is very much, like, kind of, like, a victim of the cycle of hate in the Naruto series. Like, I think that he has a lot of friends and loved ones die because of it, basically. I think Kakashi, when he's, like, a kid, like, before he, like, him and Obito have his moments, would be, like, down here. Like, I think the kid Kakashi, like, the youngest, maybe not the youngest version of Kakashi we see, but, like, the version of Kakashi that's, like, just become a Jonin, like, I think is down here, because after his, like, dad kills himself, he's like, no, everybody has to follow the rules are the best. And then I think he's, like, taught a lesson by Obito and ends up, like, up here. So, yeah, I don't know. That's probably fine. That's probably where I think Kakashi similarly, like, doesn't like the cycle of hatred. I don't think he's, like, as dedicated to getting rid of it as Jiraiya is. Like, he's honestly probably pretty similar to Denji. I just think he has, like, better motivations than Denji does. Whereas, like, they're both, like, kind of victims of the system they exist in. Or have, like, been caused, I guess Denji's more a victim. Kakashi's more, like, been caused a lot of pain by it, but yeah. 1 second, I'm gonna get my water. I already had my water, just kidding. Frankly, I thought this was going to go a lot quicker. I thought I was going to be able to bang this out in, like, 45 minutes. It's like an hour now. So Minato probably goes here. Minato's a student of Jiraiya, so I think they have very similar ideologies. I think Minato's similar to Hiruzen, where he just, like, fails at what he's trying to do, but, like, ideologically, I think he's very in line with Jiraiya, where he wants to, like, stop the cycle of hatred and yada yada, and that's why, like, I mean, it makes sense, like, Jiraiya taught Minato, Minato taught Kakashi, so, like, it makes sense that they'd all be, like, in this line. I don't know if I was trying to think if Minato was Hokage for any wars, but I don't know. He's, like, not Hokage for very long, because it's, like, the main reason I put Hiruzen down here is, like, he was, like, an active participant in wars and, like, creating that cycle of hatred. Because really, if, like, I put him here, it's like he taught him and he taught him and he taught him and he taught him and he taught him. So, but yeah, no, I think that's a fair spot for Hiruzen. Like, it honestly might be. I'm actually gonna put Minato lower. I'm gonna put Minato down by Hiruzen. Because I actually think that, like, I think these two actively don't want to be Hokage. Right? They actively, like, don't want to become, like, the leader of this system. Like, they want to find, like, I think especially Jiraiya wants to find, like, an alternate route to fixing things. And that's, like, the reason he's like, no, Tsunade would be, like, a better Hokage than me. Like, you don't want me. So, yeah, I don't know. But I think like Minato and Hiruzen both want to like solve it by like becoming the leader of the village and fixing the system through the system rather than like finding like an alternate means. So Naruto is really interesting because Naruto, similar to these guys, wants to change the system through the system. But like Naruto succeeds. Like Naruto like actively changes his system and like eliminates the cycle of hatred and is like able to unite the world in like Naruto like ends wars pretty much, right? Like I don't know if that makes him ideologically better than them. I feel like he's certainly not above these three, right? Because these three like actively oppose their governing body. In some cases, in most cases they try to work with them, but like in some case, and like I can't imagine Naruto ever like fighting against the lead. Well, Naruto's at least up by Tanjiro. I think that like I actually think Naruto and Tanjiro are like very, very similar characters. For reasons I'm not going to get into now because that's like a whole other thing. I just think Tanjiro is more willing to like kill than Naruto, but I think in terms of like empathy, they're like very, very similar. And I think the thing with Naruto is that he's very much able to like relate to people of the other villages, even if like what those villages want to do is cause him or his friends harm. Right, so there's a point where, like, this is after Jiraiya's died. Spoiler, I guess. I said that at the beginning. I don't know if you're an hour in. I don't know what to tell you. There's, like, this point after Jiraiya dies, and after Naruto, like, beats the guy who fought Jiraiya, and which is the arc kind of where, like, Naruto, like, solidifies his worldview, I guess. Where these people from the Cloud Village show up and they're like, yo, Sasuke kidnapped our master, right? Like Sasuke kidnapped one of a mentor of ours, like somebody who's very dear to us. And Naruto's like, he's like, well, I can't let you kill Sasuke because then people from my village will want to kill you, and I don't want that cycle of hatred to continue. But I also can't let you kill Sasuke. Like I don't want to have to come fight you, but I also don't want, like, I don't want to have to come kill you because you've killed Sasuke, but I also, like, understand your pain and want you to be able to vent that. And he just, like, lets these people kick the shit out of him. He's like, just take all your anger at Sasuke out on me and just beat the fuck out of me. And so I feel like in the same way, like, Tanjiro is very sympathetic to the demons he kills and, like, fights, I think Naruto is, like, the same way. So I probably would put, and like he very much wants to end this like cycle and like this system they have, and he's successful at it. I'll put him under Tanjiro because I feel like Tanjiro is very much like, no, I want to get to the source of this problem and kill it. Whereas Naruto more wants to just like fix the system he exists in, but I think because he's successful at it and because he's also working to like end all wars, whereas like these guys fought in wars, and I mean I think all these guys fought in wars as well. I mean Naruto fought in a war, but like he very much was fighting to like unite the world and end future wars. So I think that like because of that, Naruto can go there. Again, not up here because I think a key part of this for me is that they like actively oppose the system they're in. Right? Like these people, like wanting to fix the system is still good, which is why they're like up here, right? But I think like these people are actively like, I mean, I don't know if Arale opposes the system, but she is actively also fighting the cops in like every chapter. Like she's like breaking their cars and shit. But like Ishida like actively is like, I fucking hate the Soul Society and what they've done, and like it's something that's like not forgivable, right? Like it's not forgivable, it's like not fixable. It's just like an inherently flawed system that needs to like go, or needs like such massive changes that it would be like unrecognizable, I guess. And I feel like Naruto's like close to that, but I feel like the system he creates is still kind of like recognizable. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that there's like an argument there to bump Naruto and Tanjiro up to ACAB, but I think they're more like here. Again, I think Tanjiro is probably like very close, to be honest, but like, and then I think Naruto's like a little less close, but there's probably like strong argument to bump them up here. But this is just how it feels to me. It feels like these two are on like a whole other level than anybody in this tier. So I feel like Orochimaru is similar to Aizen, where he's just kind of a prick, right? Like he's not like opposing the government and everything because he opposes it. He opposes it because he's a prick, right? But I think that there's probably more going on ideologically to Orochimaru than people think. Like, I think Orochimaru sees all, like, the death and destruction that's going on in that universe, and his solution to breaking out of it instead of fixing the system is he wants to, like, circumvent it, I guess, which is why he, like, invents, like, the reincarnation jutsu and shit. So I think he, like, does directly oppose the system. I just think he, like, has a weird way of going about it, which probably puts him around where Aizen is. I'll put him below Aizen. I think that's probably fair. Dude, I don't fucking know with Sakura, to be honest. I feel like the problem is for like the entirety of part 1, the only thing we know about Sakura is that she just like loves Sasuke, and then eventually she starts to be like, oh, I kind of suck as a ninja, and I want to not suck as a ninja. I think because of her like proximity to Naruto and Sasuke, she probably has like an understanding of like the cycle of hatred. So maybe she's like, I'm trying not to also just throw all the Naruto characters together. I feel like that's kind of boring. She's probably like above Killua. Killua's just like, again, like just like kind of a criminal, and I don't think has respect for like the police. But I think Sakura probably hasn't, like, especially as a medic and like having to heal so many people and like firsthand seeing the effects of like war and shit. Like, I feel like she probably has like an understanding of the cycle of hatred and like why it's bad. But I feel like you just never really see her, other than like supporting Naruto and Sasuke, you never really see her take any steps to do that. And I feel like at the very least, like, Renji does at times like oppose the system he's in. So I feel like that probably puts her like below Renji. Sasuke is up here. He's got very similar ideology to Naruto, except he just kind of wants to burn it all down. And I think by the end of the series, like, Sasuke's ideology through a lot of the series is like very flawed, right? Because he wants to basically create like a fear state in the world. Like, he wants to, I mean, at first he wants to kill Itachi, but then like once he moves past that and like learns that Itachi was actually not as bad of a guy, he just becomes obsessed with like destroying the whole system of shinobi. And I think at first he's like taking it, it gets very much too far, but I think like after him and Naruto settle things, he becomes like this shadow Kage, where he sees himself as kind of like the same level of mattering to the village as Hokage, but he's just entirely operating like outside of the law. And so I think because of that pushes him like up for me. And I do think he ends up like having his mind changed by Naruto and sharing a lot of that ideology. And so I think that like extra little bit of like wanting to operate outside the law and like make sure things get done and make sure people are safe regardless of whether or not it conforms to like rules or it's going through. I mean, not that rules aren't important, but yeah, no. I again, I think that extra little wrinkle of him kind of being like the shadow Kage and like operating in the shadow, like operating kind of in like the darkness, I guess, is pushes him up for me. Because he wants those like he wants the same or similar systematic changes, but he's just like going about it in a way that makes me feel like he's like slightly up from here. Like I said, I already feel like Naruto and Tanjiro are pretty close to being up here anyway. So, this guy's not worse than the cops, but like he's down here. He makes the cops in the Naruto universe. Like the Konoha police force is like founded by him. He also builds it on a foundation of racism. Like, yeah, like I don't know. He very much goes there. He just like makes the cops. Like he's straight up racist toward the Uchiha. Like he very much is like, I don't know. I feel like the baseline for like I can't make him worse than the cops because he like if I could put another tier here in between and be like is the cops like that's probably where he'd be. But yeah, I don't know. Tsunade. I'm really wondering where to put Tsunade. I feel like her main thing is just like trying to protect the village. Tsunade's like a great character. I just don't think I have a lot to go off of on whether or not she's ACAB or not. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me think about this for a second. Yeah, I don't fucking know. Because I feel like she, like, respects Jiraiya and, like, what his ideologies are, but I don't necessarily think she, like, shares them entirely. I should think she, like, very much is about, like, protecting the village and, like, what her ancestors have built, right? Because she's, like, this dude's granddaughter, which makes this dude her, like, great uncle, which makes... And this is, like her master. So... Like, I feel like she's very much about protecting what's already been accomplished and less about trying to, like, push things forward. I'm going to put her at the bottom of B tier for now. Because I think she probably has a stronger sense of morals than, like, Gon. But, like, she, like, never really does anything that would, like, directly oppose, like, anything. So... yeah, I don't know. Okay, on to One Piece. I'm gonna put Jinbei here. It's kind of weird because, like, I feel like Jinbei is very much like his goal for a lot of the series is to, like, protect Fishman Island, right? And I feel like he very much, like, seems like he's kind of willing to work with whoever, like, whatever, like, gets him there, right? So, like, he is part of the government. He's, like, a pirate working for the government for a while. Then he's, like, working for Big Mom for a while. There's just, like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like and then after a while he, like, just wants to join up with Luffy. He does show up at Marineford. Oh, because, yeah, he's arrested by that point. Because he shows up at Marineford, I'm actually going to stick him up here with, like, Ichigo and these people. I think he's probably at a similar level. I'll put him, like, here. I think he probably goes... yeah, that's probably fair. I kind of forgot he showed up at Marineford. Yeah, he like shows up in Marineford and does like directly oppose the government to try and save Luffy's brother, when he thinks they're doing like an unjust execution. And he is a pirate, so he does directly oppose like the government and the governing force. At first, I was just thinking because like he'd been a warlord, I was like, well, he's willing to like work with the government and like yada yada. But that's probably something that changes with him over time. So he probably goes about there. You could probably make the argument that he goes above Ichigo, but I think that this is fine for me for now. I'm pretty sure Blackbeard is like super ACAB. I think, yeah, I think he's very much about like freedom and anarchy, probably kind of in like a little bit of a negative way, like in the way like Sasuke was before his mind was changed by Naruto, like in a similar way to that. He honestly is probably more ACAB than. I'll leave Arale above him just because Arale. No, I think he's probably the most ACAB one so far, to be honest. Like, I think he's just very much about like personal freedom, but also evil. Like he wants. I don't think his ideology's been like completely revealed, but he's kind of supposed to be like an evil parallel to Luffy, I think, ideologically. Which it probably spoils a little bit where Luffy's gonna go, but Brook is also a pirate. So the thing I'm trying to think with the One Piece character, because like most of these characters are pirates, so they obviously like they all directly oppose the government. So like none of them are probably actually realistically going below B tier. But I'm trying to think like what their ideologies are and what their reasons are for becoming pirates. Instead of just being like they're pirates, they all go in the top tier. Yeah, and I don't quite think Brook is like at this level. I don't know if he's even at this level. He probably is like. I don't know, because we don't really know the reason why Brook became a pirate. Because the thing is, he became a pirate before I think Roger was even a pirate. And so like a lot of people become pirates in the wake of Roger's death and him revealing that the One Piece is out there, right? So a lot of people become pirates for that reason. But I don't think we know why Brook became a pirate originally. We have like a goal for Brook, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the government or anything. I don't know. I'm gonna. Because Brook like will fight the government with Luffy, but I just don't know that I've ever seen like a moment where Brook has like an ideological disagreement with the government. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna put him down probably by Sakura, to be honest. Like I think he's kind of like the same as Killua, but until we like maybe have more info about why he became a pirate. Like I think that like he's just kind of like a criminal, but we don't know the ideology behind it. Which is like, I mean, we like kind of similar to, not like totally similar to Killua, but yeah. Buggy's pretty ACAB. I'll probably put Buggy above Arale as well. Yeah, Buggy, spoilers for like the last couple manga chapters, maybe the last like 20. But Buggy has like actively formed a group that hunts Marines. So I feel like that's about as like hunting the cops is about as ACAB as you can get, I think. I don't know that he's doing it like, I'm gonna bump him down actually, because I don't know that he's doing it for an ideological reason or just because he's like, but we again don't know what made Buggy want to become a pirate, right? I don't know if it was just like desire for money and treasure, or if he has like, because that's the thing, like some of the pirates in One Piece like want treasure, some of them are just like, you know, like Robin was already being hunted down by the government, so it just made sense to like get involved in criminal organizations, right? Some of them have like ideological beef with the government and the Marines, so they're like, well, I'm gonna be a pirate to directly oppose that. And like some people are just, they just want wealth, right? Like so I think that like we don't know, I think Buggy gives me the vibes that he just wants money, right? Um, but then I don't know. Like, maybe something's changed in him, right? Because, like, if he just wants money, there's no reason to directly go after the government, right? Because he's, like, paying people out for that. So maybe something has changed in Buggy, and he's become, like, maybe originally he was, like, down here, and now he's like, no, I gotta hunt the police. So now he's up here. But I don't know. That's where I'd put him, anyway. Chopper. Man. I feel like Chopper's probably even lower than Brooke. Chopper's probably down, like, by Tsunade. Chopper's kind of a child is the thing, too. But I think Chopper would very, very much seems like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how formed Chopper's... Like, I think Chopper has ideologies on, like, medicine. Has, like, some very formed ideologies on medicine. But I don't know, like... You know, I think Chopper's very much probably against oppression. But, like, how ACAB is he, you know? I don't know. I'll leave him there. That's fine with me. I think Frankie's probably in the A tier. I think Frankie has been, like, opposed to the government and to cops since before he joined the Straw Hats. He's probably, like, I don't know. I'll put him above Kakashi. Probably under Jiraiya, but I'll put him above Kakashi. Yeah, I don't know. Frankie, like, Frankie pretty much, he saw his mentor unjustly killed by the government and, like, the Marines, which are probably obvious by the way I'm talking, but those are basically, like, I think the equivalent of the cops in this universe. He saw his, like, mentor unjustly killed by them, and I think kind of ever since has been against them and a criminal and yada yada whatever, right? Yeah, I don't know. And then he, you know, becomes a pirate and is, like, helping out Luffy. So Kaido. So I kind of get the vibe that Kaido became a pirate for power, and to, like, fight strong dudes. Yeah. I think he just kind of wants to fight strong dudes. Kaido's probably one of the least ACAB people in One Piece. I think he's probably more ACAB than Kenpachi, but I don't know. You could really place him, I think, like, anywhere in C tier. I just don't think he has... I don't think he's anything ideologically against what the government is doing, is my thing. I don't think he really cares. I think in a lot of cases he's actively doing worse things. So you could potentially put Kaido even lower. Like, you could probably make the argument that Kaido's down here. Which I actually might leave him there. Just because, like, I feel like the level of oppression that he puts on Wano when he's in charge of it, like, in the amount of oppression he puts on the country of Wano is, like, on the same level or worse than the worst things we know the world government has done. So despite the fact that I do think he, like, opposes the government in, like, a literal sense, I think, like, in an ideological sense, he's probably, like, down here, to be honest. I think he also, like, Doflamingo is his subordinate, and Doflamingo does some, like, genuinely horrible things. So I think if he really had, like, any kind of ideological stance against, like, systemic oppression, I think he probably would not be doing it himself, or, like, not allowing his subordinate to do it. Luffy's pretty fucking ACAB. Not gonna lie. I'm not sure if he's better or worse than Blackbeard. Like I said, I think they're supposed to be, like, ideological mirrors to each other. I'm gonna put Luffy above Blackbeard just because I like Luffy better. But like, I think they're supposed to be pretty close to each other ideologically. I think that's, like, what's being set up. Like, Blackbeard's probably, like, like one of the end game villains for Luffy. Right, like, Blackbeard might be the one Luffy... I think Blackbeard and Luffy are going to fight for the One Piece. Like, I think that's what that fight's going to be for. Yeah, I don't know. Luffy, I think, is very much, like... The general plot of One Piece is Luffy walks into a country. Somebody from that country is like, Luffy, there's systemic oppression going on here. And then Luffy beats the shit out of the government. Like, that's pretty much the plot of, like, most arcs of One Piece, right? I think a lot of times he, like, is also helping put back into place or start, like, a better government. So I don't think Luffy's, like, a total anarchist, but I don't know that matters to, like, what we're talking about, right? That's more of, like, what level of anarchist is Luffy, not what level of, like, ACAB is Luffy. But yeah, I don't know. Luffy was also kind of the inspiration for me doing this list in this video to begin with. So just because, like, sometimes I'd be watching One Piece and I'm like, wow, Luffy really do be ACAB. I really liked a while ago, like, I don't know, probably like a year and a half ago, on Twitter, there's a whole trend going around of people being like, they'd post like a gif of Luffy doing like a bajillion attacks, and it'd be like, Luffy when you tell him about when you tell him about the systemic oppression going on in the United States. And it's just him like beating the shit out of, I don't know, Joe Biden or whatever. And it feels like really accurate, to be honest. Like, I really think if like Luffy landed in like Florida or something and somebody was like, Luffy, the Florida government is oppressing us, they're not letting black people vote, I really think Luffy would like go right to the governor's office and just like beat the fuck out of him. That's the thing too with Luffy, right? Like, I think like a lot of these people, like I was talking about with Goku, I think Goku's against oppression, but I think he also like doesn't care unless there's a strong guy to fight. Luffy will straight up punch somebody in the head who's weak as shit. Like, Luffy, like, I think one of the most satisfying hits in the series is when Luffy like straight up like there's these people called like the Celestial Dragons, and they're basically like at the top of the world. They're like, I don't know, they are the 1%, and like they're all like born into it. Like, none of them earned it through any means, right? Like, they're just born into it. It's like this long lineage of like 1,000 years or something where people have been being born into it, and they're just like allowed to do whatever they want with the world and like and shit. And so like they engage in like slavery and like human trafficking and shit. And there's one of these guys called Saint Charlos, I think, who's just like super insufferable, and like at one point he's like shit talking Luffy because like he thinks he can shit talk anybody and nobody will do anything. And Luffy just like, I'm pretty sure he just punches this guy like through a building or some shit, or like down into like it's I don't remember exactly what he punches him into. I think they're like in an auditorium in like a slave auction. He just punches him so hard he leaves like a crater in the ground, but it's just like this normal ass dude, right? This guy's not strong at all. Like, Luffy, if he had punched him any harder, probably would have just ended his life, right? Like, but Luffy's like, nah, fuck you, you're a prick, you get punched in the head. He just like doesn't care. And then he like also knows that like after he does this, he's gonna have to like fight the police and like the strongest of the world government, and he's like, fuck it, I will fight all of them just because I want to punch this guy because he's so much of a prick. So, you know, Luffy's pretty goated, pretty ACAB. Oh fuck, where the fuck do I put Big Mom? Oh shit. So I'm actually in the middle of watching Whole Cake right now, which is like Big Mom's like big arc. It's weird because I feel like Big Mom mostly just wants to eat food. Like, I feel like that's like her real motivation. So like, I don't know. I think she's also like similar to Kaido. She's like doing a little oppression, but it's like not as much as Kaido. I know Big Mom's probably gonna be this tier, right? I'm trying to think if she's less ACAB than these people. Maybe Big Mom's like top of D tier. The thing with Big Mom is like, it's similar to all the pirates, she opposes the government. But ideologically, what she wants to do is create a world of peace, but like the way she wants to go about that is like flawed. Like the way she wants to go about that, I think, is like similar to the way like Sasuke, before his mind is changed by Naruto, is she like just kind of wants them. I don't know if she's trying to create fear or if she just, by virtue of being who she is, naturally creates fear. But yeah, she very much is. I think she's definitely like against racism. because she wants to gather all the races together in like a peaceful way. But again, I think it's like to her. I think it's kind of like collecting. So maybe like, I don't know. That's more fetishization than like actual like anti-racism, right? So yeah, I'm comfortable with putting her here. I I feel bad because I feel like Krillin like ideologically probably doesn't go here, but like he is the cops, so I feel like I have to put him down here. But like I feel like Krillin probably doesn't really belong here, but I don't know. It's funny to put him down here, so but yeah, I'll put Big Mom. See, I don't know, because then she also like does active oppression, and because she's also the ruler. See, the thing is like she's a pirate, but she's also the ruler of a nation, so she like simultaneously is like against the cops and like is the government of like her area. She's not like, her government isn't affiliated with the world government, but like she does have a government built out, and a lot of what her government is built on is basically going to people and being like, if you want to live here, you have to give me part of your lifespan, so she can use it to make like, I don't know, like talking flowers and shit. So she's kind of like doing some systemic oppression as well, but I don't think it's quite as on. I don't think it's on the level of Kaido. I'll put her here because I feel like honestly, outside of the part where like you have to give her a little bit of your lifespan, like I feel like living in her country isn't that bad. It's honestly pretty sick. Like all the houses and shit are made of food. You can just like eat houses in like the ground and shit. So like nobody has to worry about food or whatever. And outside of that, like once a year where she takes some of your lifespan, like you're living pretty peacefully, and you're also always protected by like her pirate group. And so like outside of that, she probably actually is pretty successful in like achieving her goal. I just think like the way she does it is like ideologically flawed. I'm just trying to think of like what like because I don't think you'd be like super oppressed living in her country, other than the fact that you have to give her some of your life force every year. But that's also like a steep price to pay, being like, if you want to live here, your life is actively going to be like, if you want to live in this good place, your life is just going to actively be like 10 years shorter or whatever, because you're giving me like 3 months of your life every year, right? Or whatever it is. It's probably a set amount. I just don't remember what it is. So that aspect of it is kind of fucked up. And then there's also the chance that she might get really hungry and go on a rampage and accidentally kill you. So I think this is probably a fair spot. This guy literally founds the cops, so I don't want to like put her below him. Like he like makes the cops and like makes systemic racism in the Naruto world. So I don't want to like put her like under him, because she's at least like not making systemic racism. She's doing a little bit of like fetishization, but like she's not like actively trying to oppress one specific race, whereas this guy is pretty actively trying to oppress one specific clan. So yeah. That was actually kind of interesting, trying to place Big Mom there. I think that was like one of the more complex ones to figure out. Nami. I think Nami is probably similar to Denji. I think Nami has actively been a victim of oppression. I mean, it's oppression like by pirates, but I think she's also aware that like the world government didn't step in to help, right? And then like she is also actively willing to like oppose the world government and like fight people. So I feel like she's like, because of that, she's probably like a little bit above these people. I'm gonna move Ichigo up. I think I'm just thinking about the Fullbring arc again, and the way that he like also like stands up to the government and like, or the Soul Society, and like makes demands of them that like would normally be denied, and like asks, yeah, I don't know. I think he probably goes up there. I think that's fair. I think so the thing is, I'm not aware right now, and I don't think Robin's definitely in the top tier, right? Like, she, for a while, she works with the Revolutionary Army, who like directly oppose the government. She her entire existence is pretty much banned by the government. So she's like very much like a victim of the government's like oppression and suppression of like certain ideas. She's like also a pirate. Like I think there's, yeah, no, she definitely belongs up here with these people. I honestly would probably put her like, I think like, nah, she probably goes above Buggy. I think ideologically she probably is more ACAB than Buggy is. But I don't know, because Buggy is also like actively putting bounties on not on cops, on I mean on that universe's version of cops, I guess. So her and Buggy are probably at a similar level, just because she's like been in the Revolutionary Army and shit. I don't know with Roger. I really don't. Give me a sec to think about it. So you'd think like King of the Pirates is basically King of the Criminals. So you'd think he'd be up here, and like he probably is, right? I'll put him at the bottom but we don't really know. Like, I think there's an implication that like Roger and Luffy, like that Luffy has kind of inherited Roger's will. So because of that, I'll put him like here. But like we don't really know, right? Is the thing. We don't really know like what Roger's reasons were for becoming a pirate. What his like ideologies were, other than the fact that we think that Luffy has inherited Roger's beliefs, right? Not like literally inherited, like Roger and Luffy like knew each other, but just that like Luffy is kind of like the successor to Roger's beliefs is probably a better way to say it, right? But I don't know if like as a successor he's pushing those beliefs farther or is more proactive in them, because we don't really like, we know a lot of the places Roger's been to, but we don't know if like in the way that Luffy is rocking up to every country and being like, I'm here to punch the people doing the systemic racism, if Roger was like kind of doing the same shit. Like, you know, like I feel like I know for a fact if you told Luffy about the systemic racism going on in the United States like judiciary system, I think he would very much punch his way to whoever is in charge of changing that and make them change it. And I can't say with as much certainty that Roger is the same way. Yeah, I don't know. That's it. Sanji. That's a good question. I want to say Sanji's A tier, but maybe like below Ichigo. I don't think Sanji. I think I don't want to say Sanji hasn't been a victim of oppression, but I feel like the most oppression he's felt is from his own family, right? Like I feel like Sanji's character development and like her character arc and like backstory, I don't think is as much a reflection of like the themes of like anarchy and like corruption in the government and shit like that, as maybe like other characters are. But I think Sanji's more like in line with the theme of like found family and not being like tied down by like your blood relations or whatever. Like I think that's like kind of Sanji's theme here. But that being said, I think he's also like, he's clearly willing to like fight against the government and like other shit like that. I don't think he would be as ACAB as like Nami or Frankie or any of these other people. Shanks. We don't know jack shit about Shanks, man. I'm gonna put Shanks like above Jinbei. I think that like, I mean, the fact that he's become a warlord means that he's like directly in opposition to the government, right? Like, and as far as we can tell, he, sorry, had a big yawn. As far as we can tell, he's like, he governs his areas fairly or whatever, right? And he was an apprentice pirate on Roger's ship, right? So, you know, he, in theory, shares a lot of ideology with Roger, but I just think we don't have that confirmed. Like, potentially Shanks is, like, right up here with these three, right? But, like, I don't know. I know there's times where he's, like, actively talked to and worked with the government that, like, we've seen in the series. And I think those things are very much like he's trying to manipulate things behind the scenes to, like, get his own, to kind of help his own agenda. But I think I like realistically can't put him higher than B for that. I know he does step in Marineford to help Whitebeard oppose the government, but he steps in to fight Kaido to stop Kaido from coming in and killing basically pincering Whitebeard just because Kaido wanted to kill Whitebeard, right? So he doesn't like step in directly to like oppose the guy. He does like end the fighting, but he ends the fighting to like at Marineford to stop the fighting to stop the bloodshed on both sides. So this feels like a pretty good spot for him. I don't know. He could be lower, he could be higher. It depends on like what else we're gonna learn about him coming up. I haven't seen Film Red, so Film Red potentially like answers some of these questions I'm having, but I just like haven't seen it. So I don't know. Usopp. I honestly feel like Usopp's probably like, man, I don't know. I mean, Usopp's definitely like at worst in B tier, right? Like, I think, yeah, I'm gonna put Usopp next to Sanji. No, actually, I think both those guys are actually over Denji. I think he's like right around Nami. I don't think like he's a victim of oppression in the way Nami is. But I think that like he very much is opposed to it. Like I feel like anytime like he finds out somebody's being oppressed, like even though he's always like scared and shit, he's always like willing to help them get out of that situation consistently in every arc, right? I don't necessarily know that he like hates the Marines or is like ideologically against the Marines, but I do think he's ideologically against oppression, and also willing to like fight against it. So I think that puts him here, right? Whitebeard's straight up here. I like don't want the top like 5 to all be One Piece characters, but like or top 4 to all be One Piece characters, but like I honestly probably put him above Roger and under Blackbeard. He just like finds out one of his crewmates is gonna get executed, and he like literally mounts a full scale assault against the government. I don't like. I don't know how much more ACAB you can get than mounting a full scale assault against like the cops. Yeah, and it very much is in response to them to them doing like an abuse of their power and like a like an unjust method of like punishing a prisoner essentially. So I feel like just because his like attack against the government is like a direct response to injustice in the judiciary system, I think like again, I don't know how much more ACAB you can get than that. I almost want to. There's like there's kind of like a meme in the One Piece community that Zoro's racist, and it's because he just like consistently like fights black people. Like that's really it. Like he just like very consistently, his opponents end up being people of color. Realistically, I don't think he's actually down here, but like I don't know, it's kind of funny. I kind of want to put him here for like the same reasons I put Krillin down here. Zoro's the worst of them all. But no, I think Zoro's honestly maybe the least ACAB of the Straw Hats though, like genuinely. It's probably like here. I think Zoro's motivations, a lot of them very much come. He like his motivation is that he wants to be the best swordsman, and the reason he's choosing to do so as a pirate is that of like loyalty to Luffy for saving him. That does lead me to believe that he like believes in Luffy and like Luffy's dream. So potentially Zoro could maybe be up here, but I think like here is like the safe bet. Like I don't think any of his like main motivations or ideologies that we know about actually like really have a whole lot to do with oppression or anything of the sort. I don't think he's like pro oppression, right? Because he like consistently fights against it, like with Luffy. But it raises the question of like, would he if Luffy wasn't, right? Like, would he still fight against it if his captain wasn't like, this is what we're doing, right? So I think because of that, I'm gonna put Zoro down here. But I don't think he's like, I can't see putting him any lower than that. Man, I'm kind of over this. I don't know why I put these last three people on here. This is going to end up being 2 fucking hours. This is so long. I would have put way less people on this list if I realized it was going to take me this long. I'm going to go out of order here. Kaneki's up here. Kaneki is probably like here. Or you could I think you can make the argument for these top 3 to be like swapped around, but I'm pretty sure, unless I'm misremembering Tokyo Ghoul, that basically Kaneki's whole story is that like he becomes a ghoul. He realizes the ghouls are kind of like oppressed by society and like treated like shit, partially because some of them eat humans, but like also like some of them don't and are still oppressed, I think. And then he, I think, like actively fights against that and maybe overthrows the government. So the character literally fighting against systematic oppression by the judiciary body. I don't think like it really gets more ACAB than that. Spike's a bounty hunter. I feel like he's probably like under Zoro. I don't know. I feel like he's a bounty hunter, so he kind of like operates outside the law, but he also kind of operates with the law, like similar to like when Zoro was a bounty hunter. So I guess this makes sense. Yeah, again, I don't think he's like actively doing anything to like fight against oppression or like anything of that nature. But I also think that he's like okay operating outside the law and like doing shit like that. So like I don't know. Maybe like bottom of B, top of C is like right for like maybe this bottom row, but I don't think it like hugely matters. The thing is, Saitama's kind of the cops, right? He's like part of the Hero Association, which is like the big like government run hero body. It's like a similar thing to Deku, except I don't really think Saitama's trying to change anything the way that Deku is trying to change things, right? So like Saitama honestly seems pretty apathetic. Like, he's probably better than Kenpachi, but like that's probably like here, right? So yeah, I don't know, because I do think he has like a sense of justice, but like at the point we see him at in the manga, like he's just bored for the manga, you know? He's like bored and apathetic and just like wants somebody strong to fight and like can't find it, so he's like depressed, right? That's kind of his like character. So I think originally he was doing it because he believed in like justice and wanting to help people, and maybe by the end, again, it's an ongoing series, so well, the manga's ongoing. I haven't read the webcomic, but the webcomic is probably, I would assume, is finished by now. But anyway, the way I'm reading the series is still currently ongoing, so potentially this could change, right? Like maybe he'll like regain his sense of justice at some point, or maybe I'm tripping and like he never really lost it, right? He just, yeah, I don't know. At this point, he just seems kind of like largely apathetic and is just kind of like fighting when it's like convenient for him, and like I don't know, he's just like bored because there's no strong guys to fight. He's like Goku if they're like this is, I feel like he's basically what I was saying would happen if Goku had no strong dudes to fight. He just wouldn't do anything about it, right? Like currently in the manga there's like huge issues with the Hero Association and like how they operate and like shit like that, and like he's just like there's like another group rising up and he's like, nah, I'm just gonna stay in this one, it's not a big deal. I think the other group is gonna end up still also being bad, not like great, but yeah, I don't know. So I think that's probably fair for Saitama. I really like don't know. But yeah, I'm just gonna do a quick sweep through, see if anything seems like not correct. I don't know. It's like probably all fine. I think the B tier is probably the most loosely defined. I probably should define this a little better because like some of these people like up here are like actively fighting oppression, and some of them down here just like, oh, well, that's probably not true. Yeah, I don't know. This is all probably fine up here. I don't know. I think like the ACAB tier and the A tier are probably the ones who are like, I mean, obviously because of the way it's ranked, they're the ones that are like the most ACAB. But I really think like these two tiers both are. I just think the ones at this top tier have like something a little bit extra over these people. Is all, either ideologically or action wise or whatever, right? So anyway, that's gonna be it for that one. Fucking hate that this was like almost 2 hours. That really is not what I wanted, but here we are anyway. Yeah, so that's Luffy is the most ACAB anime character, or he's not, I don't know. Like, again, you could probably make an argument for any of these three. Again, I guess it kind of depends on what Blackbeard's ideology ends up being. I don't know. Everybody up here is like pretty ACAB. I don't know. You really could probably make an argument for most of these people being number one. Yep, I don't know. Anyway, peace out.